Well, hello, soul family. Today, I want us to talk about awareness and your thoughts. As we've been discussing over the last couple of days, we've talked a lot about um, the nervous system and your thoughts, or how thoughts create your reality through your nervous system. And today, I want to talk about awareness because you cannot change what you're not aware of. If you're not aware of something consciously, you can't bring any change to it. And what I want you to do is be able to have the capacity to bring your thoughts, to bring the awareness of your thoughts to the forefront, and then expand your capacity of your awareness to bring a change, a shift, a transformation in your life that you can be your most better sovereign self. You don't just wake up today and become your sovereign self. You start in your lordship, governing over yourself. And in order to do that, you have to become aware of what you're thinking. Remember, we have 60,000 thoughts a day. 80% of those thoughts are negative thoughts. So if you're having these negative thoughts, 80% every single day, 365 days a year, you're having these thoughts that are not promoting you to be of your best. They're very critical. Sometimes they're very self-judgmental. And again, they're often thoughts that have been inserted into your programming, your thinking, based on other people's thinking and thoughts about you. We spoke in the last video, you can go and listen to that it takes 66 days to create a new habit into the subconscious. And this is where we want to get our awareness in our subconscious, because when it's in our subconscious, it becomes a baseline that we're operating from. And that's where we want to get. Because you have to you have to think about what you're thinking about and being aware of what you're thinking about. You could be driving down the road and a thought comes into your head. You have to ask yourself, where is this thought coming from? Why am I having this thought? And is it a self-thought? Or did it come from a meeting that I was in or a conversation that I was in? And now that I'm by myself, I'm processing the thought, I'm thinking about it. And you have to learn to become the neutral observer and stay in that neutral place about your awareness of the thoughts that you're thinking. And this is very important because when you stay in that neutral place, ask yourself, when I'm around person A, is there a lot of tension? Is there a lot of discomfort? Or I just want to get away from them if I'm at work and I'm in a meeting at work, or my boss comes into the room. Do I feel a sense of stress? Do I start thinking to myself, I need to get out of here. I don't want to have any engagement with this person. Why? Okay, you're being aware, but now you have to ask yourself some questions. So, or are you around someone, when you're around them, it gives you a sense of peacefulness, calmness, happiness, or enjoyment? Or is it just a neutral environment? I personally would rather be around persons who create a neutral or a happiness environment for me, or a calm environment, because I don't want to be in stress. I don't want to be in anxiety. I don't want my nervous system, which is affected by my thoughts and my thinking, to be activated by someone. Because I'm working on being my most sovereign self. Remember, the scripture tells us that Yehoshua, uh, who you would call Jesus, or says that he is Lord of Lords and King of Kings. You have to learn to govern over yourself, and to govern over yourself in order to become your most sovereign self. This is 50 consciousness state thinking. To be your most sovereign self, you have to start in your lordship, which is the management, self-regulation of yourself. And you have to do this by becoming aware. So awareness is extremely important with you becoming your most optimum sovereign self. And it starts with you governing over yourself in every area and every aspect of your life and of your life. I was driving down the road the other day and I was having a thought. And I want you to think about thoughts and awareness as insights, okay? Begin to become and have an insight about anything that's affecting your life. Because when you begin to have this awareness, when you begin to have this insight, you are able to make a shift and a transformation either towards or away from something. As you expand your awareness capacity, what you're doing is you're learning how to self-regulate, govern over yourself, becoming that Lord. Now, Lord here is a title. It's not gender specific. It's just a title. It means you're governing yourself and your finances. How do you think, what is your awareness about your finances? What is your awareness about your health? What is your awareness about your retirement investment capacity? What is your awareness about your soul assignment or your soul purpose for being here? What is your awareness on that first level when you're sitting on your internal throne and governing over yourself? To govern over yourself, you have to be aware of yourself. You have to be aware of your capacities in all of those areas that I just mentioned. And so you have to do some self-assessment. And you're not being judgmental in this process. You're being observational, and you're just being neutral in your observation. And you're looking at certain patterns that you have in your life. And you have to say, okay, these patterns came from here. I grew up. These were the patterns in our life and in our family, in our household. And as I grew up and I moved away, I created some of my own patterns that were based out of that old structure. But now, as I've done some internal work, as beginning to become more consciously aware of who I am and who I want to be, and I'm beginning to own my true identity, then this conscious awareness begins to take form into your subconscious. And when it begins to take form in your subconscious, it begins to now reflect out and manifest in your literal reality. All of this is coming from your awareness and your thoughts. And this is why it's so important that you know who you are. And in order to know who you are, to be your most authentic sovereign optimum self, you have to go through the process of becoming extremely self-aware. So I want to give you a technique, because as you create this, as you're creating this new pathway over the next 66 days of being deliberate, being disciplined, and embodying who you really want to be, your authentic, sovereign, optimum self. And so you can't go down the same old pathway and expect to get to a new destination. Because if you're trying to get somewhere in the east, but you're heading west, you're just never going to arrive to the destination in the east. So becoming deliberate, disciplined, and embodying, which is not easy, but it's completely doable. And one of a technique I want to give you, a tool, is the pause and notice. So when something, a thought arrives and your awareness about a thought arrives, simply pause, notice the thought, assess the thought. Where is it coming from? Why are you having the thought? How are you feeling when you're having the thought? All of this is from an observational space, a neutral space. And if it's positive, if it's necessary, then accept it and continue to become fully aware around the thought, the why, the who, and the where it's coming from. And if it's one of those 60,000 or those 80,000 negative thoughts, it could be your own or embedded in you by someone else, whether it's a parent or a sibling or a co-worker, then let it go. I see you, I heard you, but I'm not in alignment with that thought. And so I dismiss you. And it's just that simple, but it's not that easy. But it is that simple. You have to learn. I'm in the process of doing this right now. As you have this awareness and you have this insight around this awareness, I started understanding, you know what? It's time for me to get back on board and make my videos. It's time for me to write my books, and the books that I have written and I didn't publish, I'm going back over them and I'm reading them and I'm seeing where I was in one book. I think I wrote it in 2012. I think I wrote two books back then. And then I wrote another one. And so I have two books that are about 12 years old. I did a manuscript. I gave it to 3 people to read and get some feedback from. I got the feedback. But because I was not doing the internal work yet to really put it out there into the public domain, it has sat for 12 years. The next book, I believe, is about 9 years old. Sitting inside me right now is literally 5 books. And I had to come to an understanding I had an awareness. I'm going to say a word. It's maybe not a word, but an awareness insight that, you know what? The people who are ready to receive what I have are a part of my soul family. And they will be ready because guess what? In my insecurities, I was not ready for any type of criticism that would have come my way. That was on the first level. The second level was I didn't know how to publish a book. And when I started to investigate the process, it was daunting. And I just didn't want to go through it. But mostly, I wasn't ready to be seen and I wasn't ready to be heard. That's the awareness. That is the self-assessment. And it was deeply embedded in my nervous system. And it's why I was so inconsistent. And it was why I wasn't showing up even on YouTube in this environment right here. I wasn't ready. Now I am. And so here I am. And it started with me beginning to govern over myself, doing the works that are necessary in the 3D consciousness, going into the dark night of the soul, and in 4D consciousness, where you begin to really work on yourself and you begin to identify by this self-awareness process what is true for you. What is your soul assignment? What is your soul purpose assignment that you're here? And are you ready to live it? Are you ready to work it out? And then you reach that 5D consciousness state where you begin to not walk in excuses. You begin to walk in imperfect perfection. And you continue to move forward. And all of this happens in our thought process because our thoughts either propel us forward or they ingrain us and we get stuck in a thought pattern that's in our nervous system that will not allow us to go forward. So the tool, the technique, pause and notice, and then make a neutral, observational assessment about your awareness of the thought and the stories that we're telling ourselves. And then, is it propelling you forward or is it holding you back? If it's holding you back, let it go. If it's propelling you forward, then it's a thought to continue to commiserate about. I'm going to leave it there for today, and I'm going to see you in the next video. I truly enjoyed having this time with you today. Please like and subscribe and share the video. Namaste to you. I love you dearly. And I will again see you in the next video. Thank you so much.